Joy.
Hello, and welcome to the Why of It All. This is episode 21. And today I would like to share with you guys and with Gina here the story of a profound experience that I have had over the last couple of weeks volunteering for the volunteer coordination efforts out at the Sandy Creek, Texas flood disaster area. Most of you have heard, I'm sure, on the news about the floods that happened in the Texas Hill Country on July 4th. The media, though, has been almost entirely focused on the Kerrville area. That's about 2 hours south of me. What the media has not shared is that the Texas Hill Country is about 31,000 square miles. And there have been many other pockets of severe flood disasters that have occurred all throughout the Texas Hill Country. And there's a particular pocket called Sandy Creek, which is only about 6 miles from where I live. And Sandy Creek was absolutely devastated. The destruction out there is just as bad as the Kerrville area. But sadly, the entire thing has been completely ignored by the media. And so...
Were there any deaths in Sandy Creek?
Yes. Oh, yes.
How many deaths?
Last count I heard was at least 13.
What?
There might have been more. The officials at this point have come out and said that all missing have been accounted for.
Okay.
But if you talk to the locals there, the neighbors who live in the neighborhood, there are still people who are missing.
Oh.
Now, it's possible that they were on a vacation or something. It's possible that they went to go stay somewhere else.
Sure.
But there are people who are still missing as the last I've heard.
Okay.
But the official count, last I heard, was 13.
Just in this area.
So
horrible.
Today, I want to share the story of this, and the reason why it's relevant for the Why of It All, a show focused on healing, is because of the profound healing experience it had for me, giving me a massive perspective change in my own life, because of the incredible, heroic efforts that I saw from the volunteers who showed up to selflessly assist these people who have literally had their entire lives wiped off the map. And then because of what was interesting to me is the different types of trauma responses that I witnessed in the 2 weeks that I was working out there from the victims. So I wanted to share this experience. We can talk a little bit about that and how it all kind of weaves into what we talk about on this show.
But really, like her and I, because we only get together every few weeks, and we're busy with our lives, we don't get into the nitty gritty. So some of this, actually, I'm learning for the first time too. So it's great because we're having our little connection conversation and we're just recording it.
Yeah,
So
this is going to be new for you too.
this is authentic too. And so we're just going to see where the episode takes us, but it's going to be more me asking her questions because I want to know. So anyway, Mel, let's start from the beginning. What made you decide to go volunteer after the flood? I mean, what pulled you toward this specific disaster? What was it?
I think it's the fact that it's my community. In my life, I have a history of being the rescuer a little bit. I have had multiple occasions in my life where something tragic was happening in my vicinity and other people went into panic mode and I went into handle it mode. And that's a nervous system reaction.
Did we have a conversation about this on the podcast before about
Maybe.
how we have been known to be good under pressure, work well under
Maybe.
pressure?
I kind of vaguely remember that.
Maybe. Anyway.
So in this situation, it's so close to my house. It's just 6 miles away.
Yeah.
I am dear friends with a woman who lives in that neighborhood. We're going to talk more about her shortly and what she created out there. But for me, it was just something where I could not sit by and do nothing. I couldn't.
I love that about you.
And it was something that I have no experience with disaster relief at all whatsoever, but I couldn't do nothing. And so I just showed up.
What did you see when you first got there? And can you paint a picture for us, like what you walked into when you, like, just the first day that you walked out there? What did you see and what did you actually notice and experience?
I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Yeah.
It looked like a tornado, like what you would imagine an area to look like if a freaking F5 tornado ripped through this place.
Flattened everything.
Slabs
Slabs.
where there used to be homes. Vehicles crushed like aluminum
It's
cans.
wild.
The debris was mind-boggling. And basically what happens, and what people need to understand about the Texas Hill Country, because this kind of paints the picture. And it paints the picture of why this flood was so bad. In the Texas Hill Country, obviously you have high points and low points, and there are many, many, many hundreds of creeks and rivers and water bodies that move through the low points. The other important thing to understand is that underneath our relatively thin topsoil, it's limestone or granite. So all it takes is a few days of normal rain for that topsoil to get saturated before everything starts running off into the valleys.
Sure.
In this case, we had obviously record-breaking rain for 3 days straight, and then eventually the flash floods hit. And the wall of water was so immense, I saw gigantic shipping containers sitting on top of a tractor.
That's wild.
An entire giant ship, we all know approximately the size of a shipping container, lifted up and placed on top of another vehicle.
So complete the disaster.
Complete disaster. Bridges washed out, homes lifted from their foundations. I spoke to a family who literally rode their home in the middle of the night down the street. Like, I'm going to get 350 yards down the street. It picked up their whole home, and they rode it like a freaking boat down the street.
That's wild.
I've never seen this level of destruction in my life. And to have been there in the immediate aftermath of it was apocalyptic. It was apocalyptic. And at that point that I was there was no official response whatsoever. It was just us. It was just neighbors helping neighbors and the community turning up to be like, what can I do to help?
It's wild. So next question that actually is a perfect segue. Were there any specific moments or people that really stuck with you? Like an event that really surprised or deeply moved you? Was there one specific event that you can think of in those couple weeks that you were there that really just, something that flashes back that you think of or that affects,
it was day after day after day of it. Every single day was something else profound. I saw volunteers acting in the most selfless ways. I saw the best of humanity turn out to this. It was equal parts heartbreaking and heartwarming because of the turnout and the willingness of the volunteers who showed up to do whatever it took. I saw a man with a very obviously broken hand, swollen up like a freaking baseball. Stop for a break, come to our volunteer coordination center. We had a tent set up that we were just, and maybe in a second I'll tell the story of how this came together, but I saw a man with a very obviously broken hand come back to our coordination center, have a snack, have some hydration, and then pick his chainsaw back up and go back out.
Being injured.
Being severely injured. And all of us are like, you need to chill, like take a break.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, I'm fine. He's like, he said, I have another perfectly good hand.
So I want to know, this isn't one of our questions, but like, what were you specifically doing out there every day? What did the day look like for you from when you got there to when you left? Like, what were you actually doing? Were you passing out water? Were you passing out food? Were you actually doing some of the pickup trash? Like, what were you doing out there?
Yeah, let me start at the beginning because it's important with the progression. So the way that I actually ended up out there, I said I have a friend who lives in the neighborhood. So in the 24 hours post-flood, when it became very obvious to the residents of this community that the authorities were not coming to help, and we'll touch on that a little bit later, but for now, it became very obvious that it was going to have to be we the people coming together. And my friend who lives out there, who happens to be very, very handy with organization and stuff. We actually ran a business together.
Oh, yes. I know what you're talking about.
So she created a text line where you could text volunteer to a phone number that was linked to a Google spreadsheet so that she could track and stay in contact with volunteers. And we literally started out on the first day, which would have been, the flood happened on Friday, the first day of volunteers showing up to help volunteers coming from outside of the area, not just neighbors, would have been Monday, the following Monday.
Okay.
And so that very first day we came, my dad was there. And it was working on one particular property, cleaning up. It was chainsaws and sawzalls and loppers.
That's what you were doing
on that first day.
the first day. Okay.
Working all day in the incredible heat and incredible humidity in the mud, deep, thick mud, clearing debris that was just piled up. I mean, I don't have a reference point for how high, but it was so high.
Feet, right.
And the reason we had to clear this creek and these people's properties is because there was still the threat of rain. And if you don't clear the debris, the creek can flood again. And so it was a really dangerous situation of we got to get this debris out of the creek or it's going to flood again. So it was a team of, on that very first day, I think about 60 people came. And we made incredible progress on this one piece of property. Well, you guys know, I am trying to heal from a chronic pain disorder, and I've been making really, really good progress. And out there working, I had my adrenaline going, and I felt good. I felt productive. I felt like I was being
felt capable.
I felt capable and strong, and it was a rewarding sense of I am helping. I'm helping in a meaningful way. But that next day and the day after that,
your body was feeling it.
I was in so much pain, unbelievable pain.
Yeah.
So the day after that, I had been talking to my friend who created this volunteer text line to get the volunteers organized. And from that point forward, we were out there almost every day for 2 weeks.
Right.
And I shifted gears along with her and a few other people who sort of fell into the leadership roles and the coordination roles of organizing the volunteers.
Okay.
So we had set up some pop-up tents, and over the course of 2 weeks, our setup got progressively better, more organized, more efficient. And we were taking in hundreds of volunteers every day, getting them signed up, processing them, outfitting them with PPE gear and food and water and hydration. We had IV nurses coming out offering hydration IVs for the people who were getting heat stroke and dehydration.
Yeah.
We were basically working mostly with the volunteers, trying to bring in as many volunteers as we could, make sure they had chainsaws, make sure they had the tools they needed, gloves, like everything that they could possibly need, and keep them safe. They would come through us, get everything they need, and then we were deploying them out to different properties.
Okay. So you stopped doing the hard, like
I had to.
You had to, just for your own body and your own health.
But it was still day after day after day of being on my feet in the sweltering heat, the sweltering humidity, the bugs, the mud, the dust. After the rain finally stopped and the mud dried out, it was dust to the point where I would get home at the end of the night and do a sinus rinse and brown would come out.
Yeah.
People all around us were getting starting to have respiratory problems and everything. Luckily, I didn't have that. But it was intense. It was intensely demanding physically, even when I wasn't working chainsaws anymore. But I couldn't possibly stop. I couldn't possibly stop while there was still so much work to do. Search and rescue teams still out there operating, finding bodies every day. People without power, without water, without communication. People who, there was an entire part of the neighborhood where they were cut off. They couldn't leave the neighborhood because the bridge was out. They were stuck in their homes.
Yeah. Wow. So
it was just an incredible situation. We're out there doing debris cleanup primarily, but we're finding personal effects. They're recovering lost pets. It was incredibly chaotic, incredibly difficult communication. The situation on the ground would change every hour.
And something that came up just for me listening to you, I'm sure that, because I've never been, I don't think, in a situation like that where I've been volunteering in this type of a disaster relief. But I can imagine that you have to have some sense of, I don't know, cognitive dissonance isn't the right word, but just separating yourself, separating the emotions, right, from what you're seeing, because and I'm such an empath. Like, I would be out there probably bawling my eyes out, but at the same time realizing I need to get it together because I have a job to do. So I think did you notice that you had to separate yourself, like, from what was going on and not letting the emotions get to you? Like, did you cry out there? Did you kind of weep? Or the whole time, did you just like Okay, you were in go mode.
I was in handle it mode.
Okay,
And
so
I'll skip ahead a little bit here, but
yeah.
it's called the hero response. And it's something I'd never heard of until being out there.
The trauma
Where
response.
it's a trauma response, but it's also a response to the trauma of others that some people get. And now I understand it, and I see that I've done it many times in my life before. And it's a nervous system reaction where the adrenaline surge suppresses emotion and heightens the ability to get it done.
Productivity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So I get that.
It's
so
basically it's a response to crisis. Yeah.
So that's what I just described. Like that's what you did when you went out there.
Absolutely. And there's different flavors of the hero response. And in the worst possible situation of hero response, the person showing up to help, their ego gets involved too. And I didn't see much of that. I saw a little bit of it. And when the ego gets involved, when you're there to help, but you have ego getting in the way and it's interfering with cooperation with others, which was critical out there. It was critical out there that people, all these different grassroots volunteer groups that started popping up in the absence of authoritative support, everybody was operating separately for a while, and it took a while for them to start coming together and cooperating. And sometimes the egos that got involved made an already horrible situation worse.
Well, I bet you were just watching the human response.
I was in both a state of handle it, but also observation.
Yeah.
It was a fascinating experience of observing all of these different ways that both the volunteers would react and respond, and also the victims.
Yeah.
It was really incredible.
Had to be very interesting to see that dynamic, because I don't have any, I don't think, real life experience with a disaster relief effort like that.
At the Why of It All, we are passionate about healing mind, spirit, and body. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored by a brand whose passion for wellness runs as deep as ours, Tulip Blooms. Tulip Blooms is a family-owned American small business that crafts premium skincare products with intention, purity, and so much heart. Today we want to highlight one of their original flagship products, Rainfall, a luxurious, lightweight face and body lotion that feels like a soft summer rain for your skin. Made with soothing aloe vera and a powerhouse blend of cold-pressed botanical oils like jojoba, rosehip, and evening primrose. Rainfall quenches thirsty skin, delivering lasting hydration with zero greasiness. Rainfall is gentle enough for the face, nourishing enough for the body, and the perfect daily go-to, especially after sun exposure when your skin craves extra care. Choose from calming scents like almond, lavender, or our favorite, rose geranium, or go fragrance-free. And with both full-size and travel-size options, your glow can go wherever you do. This isn't mass-produced skincare. It's handmade in small batches by real people who put real love into every bottle. Tulip Blooms offers more than just Rainfall, too. Think decadent body butters, facial serums, artisan soaps, and even beard oil for the guys. Whether you're looking to hydrate, heal, or just show your body a little more love, Tulip Bloom delivers high-vibe care you can feel good about, because it's skincare rooted in nature, backed by integrity, and made with intention. Visit tulipblooms.shop and use our exclusive promo code HEAL, that's HEAL, at checkout for 10% off your order.
And I just want to say how proud I am of my best friend, because when all that went down, we were recording July 4th when all this went down. I was in town. That was the last time we recorded.
Right.
Everything went down the
It
morning.
was raining, and we weren't even sure if we were going to get a recording out of it.
Remember? And we were trying to, I can't remember, but I remember you walked in, we were about to record, and you had just heard from your friend. You're like, they don't have power. You told your husband, everything. So I was here, but when I went home, of course, I forgot about all that. But then just to hear that my best friend went above and beyond and had such an impact on this, area, and just took time out of her life, her busy life, because she's a mom, sometimes single mom in it, when her husband's out of town working. And so I just commend you for it just speaks so highly of your character. It just does. It just speaks of just why I love her so much. She's my best
Well,
friend.
and people keep saying that to me, and I keep responding like, because I don't want it to sound like it was ever at any point about me.
No, and I love,
You know,
be humble. You are humble
I
though.
keep wanting to turn the attention
I
back to the
know.
victims, and
But
you know,
but also, you also deserve praise.
well,
So
thank you.
I know it makes you uncomfortable, and it makes me uncomfortable too when somebody's like, but you're so swell. But like, you really are. And so I think you do deserve that praise. And you did what needed to be
And
done.
thank you, and I can receive that.
You should.
And also,
should.
who also deserves incredible amount of praise are the leaders who stepped up to launch the grassroots efforts. And in this case, it's my dear friend and another friend that she connected with in those first 24 hours.
Awesome.
The way that those two women came together and launched something that started out with, they were thinking like, maybe we'll get 50 to 100 volunteers and we can help clean up one property. And it bloomed in a matter of days into thousands of people on a volunteer list and helping entire streets at a time.
That just speaks.
And they had no intention of it getting that big. They were just like, we have to help somehow. And it was the two of them coming together, launching an idea, and that idea blowing up into a thing and attracting me and all the other people who showed up, whether in a coordination role like I was, or in a work, getting their hands dirty, labor way.
Hard labor.
The people who dropped everything in their lives, some people driving in from hours away. I talked to people who came in from other states to help, who paid their own money to get there, to stay in a hotel, to buy equipment. The organizers and the volunteers, just it was the best of humanity.
I love that.
And everyone who participated in that on all levels deserves to be recognized.
Deserves a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Well, Melanie, and when you think back, and remember when we were talking with our grief counselor friend Robin Olson in episode 14, we talked about silent grief, those invisible losses that aren't always acknowledged or seen. Did you witness any of that, silent grief?
Yeah. Yes. Or silent losses.
Silent losses.
I would say, okay, so digging through the debris, digging through basically people's lives being scattered for miles along the creek bed. Those losses, most of the time would never be recovered. Either they're so destroyed at that point that flipping over a piece of sheet metal and finding a family album underneath it. The losses of pets, the missing pets, the lack of closure for all of the pets that are still missing.
Yeah.
The lack of closure for the people that are still missing.
That's
the loss of security for the people who lived in this community for decades and had never experienced a flood like this. Prior to that, they thought they were perfectly safe where they were. And suddenly they've just completely lost all sense of security. They've literally lost everything they have.
Just like Kerrville, though. I wonder if Kerrville, I don't know if this was the first time they experienced such a devastating...
multiple times in the last century or so, Kerrville has experienced
okay,
it.
so this has happened in Kerrville before.
Yeah. That doesn't make it any
less
worse or better,
No,
it's
still super devastating.
But yes, seeing all of those things and understanding what these people are dealing with, the lack of response from the authorities in that first week and a half, these residents have lost faith in being able to trust that when something catastrophic happens, that someone is going to come help who knows what they're doing. I mean, we were all just grassroots volunteers who didn't have a clue what we were doing. We made it happen. We figured it out as we went.
And that's the
we made mistakes in those early days, and we got better as we went. We got more and more organized as time went on. But these people should have been able to rely on the professionals, on first responders, they should have been able to have someone to lean on that had experience, that could come in and save the day. And they lost that too. So that's part of these silent losses, the hidden losses that they're all dealing with, the loss of security, the loss of faith in the people who are supposed to take care of them. We pay our tax dollars and we're supposed to be able to know that someone's going to come help in a tragedy. They lost that too.
Okay. Bringing it back to you though. Let's bring it back to you. Did you have a moment, like once you decided the 2 weeks was enough there, you know, you did what you needed to do, what you could do to help. Did you have a moment when it all hit you? Like once you were home or alone, did your body start to process what you just experienced?
Yeah, I mean, in the early days, it was when the pain started kicking in. And I realized that initially I realized how much I was pushing myself. In terms of like emotionally processing it, it was sort of every day once I got home over time, wrapping my brain around the magnitude of it.
Like, did you find yourself like doing anything different when you came home? Like needing to be quiet, like nobody talk to me, or just like trying to like just zone out? Or like, did you find yourself responding in any way? I mean, and you may not.
Here's how it showed up for me to be perfectly honest. And this is where the hero response, as admirable as it can be in terms of how you can help others in an emergency situation, oftentimes what happens is you completely forego your own well-being. And that, I would say for me, that's been the profound thing. When I get home, first of all, it was like the perspective shift of like, holy crap, like I have all of my things that I'm dealing with that we've talked about on this show endlessly. I don't have any problems.
Right.
Compared to what these people just lost, which is literally everything. I got no problems.
It put it in perspective.
Seriously.
Did it not?
And also, for me, after about 2 weeks of being out there, I was so exhausted, physically, mentally, emotionally. I had completely abandoned my self-care. I didn't even want to do my self-care. All I could think about, even after I got home, all I could think about is, what do I need to bring tomorrow? What were the issues today that we can remedy tomorrow? How can we do this better? How can we process this better? I was in a constant, unending state while my eyes were open and I was awake of being physically there. I couldn't really pull myself out of it. And my physical, emotional, and mental well-being slowly deteriorated. So. I backslid hard. And after 2 weeks, I realized I have to be done now.
Good for you. For
I have to be done now.
To your intuition, you know.
And you know that the team that I was working with, we made a huge difference out there in that first week and a half, especially when there was no authoritative support. It was the grassroots organizations that did it all. Awesome. And we made a huge difference. And so by the time the authorities did finally arrive and start to take over the coordination of things, and we felt like we could start to pass it off, I needed it.
Of course.
I needed it.
It was time for you to release that. Do you feel like helping in this way was a part of your own healing journey? Ooh, that's a good question.
Profoundly.
Yeah, you do.
Both in getting clarity of what I just explained about about the importance of maintaining our own well-being. Because look, when it comes down to it, if you are so focused on everything outside of you that you completely stop taking care of yourself and you begin breaking down, you're not any good to anybody anymore anyway. So there's that.
True.
But also recognizing that in doing that, I was neglecting my family. And they were so loving and so supportive the whole time. Like they did not complain at all. But I felt like I was doing that. And also, of course, the perspective shift of like, my problems aren't that bad.
You still have a roof over your head. You still have running water. You still have power. You still have your family members.
Like... I had people who knew I lived close to Sandy Creek that were constantly texting me in for that first 24 to 48 hours. Are you okay? Are you safe? And I was like, the worst thing that I have had to deal with is that I can't let the cat outside in the backyard for 3 straight days because it's so rainy and he's driving us freaking crazy.
He's getting
parkouring all around the house and he's losing his ever-loving mind. That's the worst thing I had to deal with in my own home.
Thank God.
I have so much to be thankful for.
You do.
And
We both do.
that gratitude is
Mm-hmm.
what I did my best to shift my perspective from
Mm-hmm.
after the 2 weeks when I was like, okay, I'm done.
Uh-huh. You
And
did your
now
part.
I can shift gears a bit,
Yeah.
refocus on my family, refocus on catching up
On
on my
you.
own life.
On you.
And I am still participating in helping out there from a distance, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But it was the priority shift that I think, the perspective shift.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The
Helps.
perspective shift is really, I think, for me, what was the most profound aha that I had in terms of my own healing journey. Because,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we all, when we don't feel good or we're in the
Mm-hmm.
midst of something horrible, you know,
Mm-hmm.
relatively in our own lives,
Mm-hmm.
being able to get into gratitude from wherever you're at, obviously, is one of the
Mm-hmm.
most healing things that we can do.
Yeah.
And
Agree.
this experience,
100%.
tragic as it was monumental for me in doing
Absolutely.
that.
So kind of wrapping it up here, Melanie, because you kind of answered this next question already, but
Mm-hmm.
if you could share one thing with our listeners, especially those who may not know how to respond to disasters like this, or who feel helpless watching them from afar, what would you want them to know?
That if something like this happens in your community and you feel called, do it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter that you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you have no experience.
Because you had no disaster relief experience
No.
before.
No,
You didn't.
I'm good in a crisis. I'm really
Mhm.
good in a crisis, and I know that about myself. But
Yeah.
y'all, I didn't freaking know what a skid steer was. And
I-
3 days into doing this, I knew that there's such a thing as a skid steer.
I don't even know what a skid steer
It's
is.
like a
but-
tractor thing,
Oh.
and some skid steers have buckets, and some have claws,
Oh.
and they do totally different things. And some of them have wheels, and some of them have tracks, and they go in different places. Like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I learned as I went. And let me tell you, the incredible gratitude from the victims
Mhm.
was fuel to keep us going. And yes,
Sure.
I overdid it. I put myself to the side,
Mhm.
and I overworked myself.
Mhm.
But you can be more aware and pay more attention to how you're doing, and you can decide what you're able to do. And when you show up, do it. It was hard, but it was also incredibly rewarding knowing that we were making a massive difference in the lives of people who needed it.
And I want to say too, like, even if you can't go for 2 weeks, I mean, to me, just a day or, half a day, just giving every time, I feel is still a huge contribution.
It
Like, just
is.
because somebody can't do 2 weeks and people work full time and you can't, be able to take time or take off work to do that. Like, I just feel like even,
Yeah.
and actually that's, how can people support this cause? Like, how can people, um, you know, make any charitable donations if they want to, or get to help in some, even if they can't help physically, maybe some of our listeners want help monetarily. Or
Let me start with one thing before we jump into that, is that there are things that can be done to support disaster relief efforts that don't require chainsaws.
Mhm.
We had little old ladies with a limp showing
Mhm.
up to help with the parking.
yeah,
And they came day after day after day,
yeah,
slathered in sunscreen with big brim hats.
yeah.
And all they did was just help direct parking.
Mhm.
We had people who decided that their job was to make sure that everybody had Gatorade at all times.
Mhm. I love
There's
that.
like little
That's so
things
neat.
that you can do to help
Right.
that aren't so physically demanding, but it makes a difference.
Right.
And the fact that they showed up day after day after day and did what they could
Right.
was incredibly powerful,
For sure.
empowering for them, and supportive
Mhm.
for the victims.
Sure.
So don't think that you can't help, because you can.
Mhm.
Now, in terms of the monetary donations, in lieu of being physically out there anymore, when myself and the rest of our coordination team had hit our walls and we just couldn't anymore, what we have done, and I have to give 99% of the credit to these two women who launched the grassroots coordination effort. They are standing up a brand new 501c3. We are in the process of getting it legally set up right now. And it's going to be called Rebuild Sandy Creek. And the reason that we're doing this is because we've had a lot of people reach out to us saying, how can we contribute and donate?
Right.
and know for sure that all of this money is going specifically to the victims of the Sandy Creek flood, because most donation sites that are out there are hill country wide. They're Texas wide. And so people are like, Kerrville needs help. But they're getting a lot of help. They're getting tons of media attention. They got immediate support from the authorities, state, national, everything. Sandy Creek was abandoned. And so there's a lot of people out there who want to make sure that this small community that was wiped off the map essentially gets the support that they need. And so we wanted to give people a way where it's literally a 501c3 that is set up for Sandy Creek, by the people who actually live there. And I will be on the board, but I'm sort of a supporting role. And this is going to be set up. The 3 women, myself included, who are part of this, are not going to pay ourselves anything. 100% of the money is going to Sandy Creek victims to help them rebuild their homes, rebuild their lives.
Fabulous.
It is still in the state of being processed. It's not 100% stood up just yet, but it's being expedited. We have had incredible attorneys who are doing this pro bono for us and expediting it to get it fast as possible. We're hoping that maybe within the next week to 2 weeks, it will be ready to go, hopefully within a week. It's rebuildsandycreek.org. And that site, once it's fully set up, it's not ready yet, but once it's fully set up, there will be a donation button. It will be fully tax deductible as soon as we hit pending status, which is what we're hoping to get within the next week. And we will put a resource in the show description that is a phone number that you can text to. And it's the phone number is, I'll put that in the show description, but you can text BRIDGE to that phone number and you will get text alerts when there's an update of when you can start to donate. So that is something that we're hoping to get going here very, very quickly. We have lots of people that have already reached out and they want their money to go there, and that's what we're creating for them. So we're finding our way to help.
Good. And hopefully we can include that in the show description, once we've aired this episode. But yay, that was a great conversation about that. And thank you for sharing, because really a lot of that I just learned for the first time too. So
and it's something that I wanted to raise awareness of, because it isn't being talked about. On social media, hardly anybody is talking about the floods at all anymore. And it makes me sad, because these people it's going to take months and years for them to rebuild their lives. And the volunteer push that happened in that first week and a half was amazing. But by the second week, we saw a fraction of the people coming out to help that were coming in the first week. And I don't want to seem ungrateful for that. But this is just the nature of the way things go. Is people there's a tension on it at the beginning, and people show up, and then people have to get back to their lives. So anything that you guys can do from where you are, if you're local, also reach out to us. Give us a comment. DM us on Instagram or X or something like that, on Facebook. DM us, and if you're local and you want to help physically with the coordination effort, I will hook you up. I can tell you exactly where to go and how you can help. There's still so much work to be done out there. But thank you for indulging me and giving me the opportunity to share this so that we can use our platform to raise awareness for something that is very important.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, thanks guys for joining us, and we'll be back next week with another episode of The Why of It All.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye guys.